Alright, welcome back to my channel. This is part 1 of What If Deku Was a Villain. Now, I did not think much about this what if, so if I make some things up, just go with the flow. Since I don't know what power to give him, well, I'm not going to give him a power, actually. He's not going to get a power, not a quirk, not anything like that. So it's going to be quirkless, but it's going to be interesting, as you can say. So, let's get into the background of this. Only 0.5% of the world is quirkless. Meaning, if you are quirkless, you are really useless. So you can expect how Deku's life is going to be. And in this one, Deku has a twin brother. Yes, Deku has a twin brother, in which he acquires a mixture of both his mother and father's quirk. Getting pyrokinesis, basically. And in which he would torment Deku, and Hisashi and Inko would not even stop it, not even caring about Deku. Now, Hisashi would still leave, and the torment just got worse for Deku. But Deku thinks that he has to, keep holding on. That no matter what, throughout his torment, he could still become a hero. Now, Deku would take up fighting classes, but he never tell anyone that he didn't have a quirk, as he'd get very, very high marks in, the fighting classes. But Deku was still as smart as he was. So Deku would come up with new, unique ways to do different things. Now, Deku would take multiple other fighting classes, ranging from martial arts to basically self-defense. And he implemented all of those fighting techniques that he learned in ways to take down people with the fastest and safest way. Deku would then go on to get smarter, because he knows that he has to become smarter in case he wants to become a hero, as he would start to learning different things like chemicals, mechanics, all of these things that he thinks that he would need. And he started to get into chemistry, engineering, and things like that, in which he come up with new ways to mix chemicals to make deadly combinations. And these new inventions that he would make out of parts that he could find were not on the best side of things, but they were good for what you would say a 5-year-old could do. In which, over the years, Deku just got smarter. Now, Izuku, a couple of days after he turned 8, he see that his family really does not care for him. So one day he just went on a walk. He was walking down the street. He went to a park. And whilst in that park, he saw his favorite hero, the number 1 hero, All Might. As Deku, since there was no one else in there, he went up to All Might and asked the question, can he become a hero without a quirk? As All Might just told the kid off. No one, kid, no one could ever become a hero without a quirk. As Deku, that day, everything broke inside of him. He sees not even the number 1 hero. The person he thought would believe in him didn't believe in him. Deku's heart at that very moment is shattered. Deku's eyes, which usually were just plain green, started to glow. Just glow green, and they stayed like that, just glowing green, which Deku doesn't know why. As Deku started to walk home, but then he accidentally tripped releasing one of the chemicals that's inside of his pocket. As it sinks into his blood because of the glass, as Deku was in pain a little bit, he pulls out the glass where he sees that the chemical, a deadly chemical, had went inside his body. But what it did shocked him. It didn't destroy his body right away. It didn't do anything to his body, in fact. But it did something to him physically. More on the note of the quirk gene. It mutated, you could say. Now I'm going to take back not giving Deku a power because I really want him to have a power. So Deku gets home and he just goes in his room and he just lays down. Deku starts thinking to himself, since no one wants to see me as a hero, no one believes in me, no one cares about me, why should I hold on? Why should I care about them? Why should I live my life through all this torment? Maybe I should give back what I've taken. Maybe I should see all the faces they make when I torture them. Oh, how that will help me feel just the utmost feeling of, well, fullness. Feeling like I am actually whole. Instead of this empty feeling that I feel right now. As around Deku, everything goes into just this black void, as he cannot see anything else but one thing in this room. One thing that he always wanted to keep hold on to. A little small blade. A little knife, as you can say, that he made. When he first tried to make anything, he made this knife that had the ability to basically, it had like a little small hole in it, and Deku basically at the back of it he put chemicals in it, so when he stabs something he can release the chemicals in it. So that's what it is. As Deku makes up his mind, tonight some people will die and he'll see how it feels. So 8-year-old Deku grabs this knife, his eyes still glowing, yet he does not know why. As he puts on a jacket, some pants, black pants to be exact, and a black jacket. He also gets on a mask that his brother used to wear. As he walks out the house, he goes into an alleyway and he sees this man, not a villain nor a hero. He was just an innocent man. As Deku walked up to this man, the man said, "Oh, hello kid, what are you doing in the alleyway?" As Deku just kept walking to him, and then he stabs him with a knife. As the man says, "Kid, what are you doing?" As Deku presses the button on the knife, as the man's body slowly but surely starts to fill up with these chemicals that Deku made. As the chemicals destroy the man's body, hurts the man is screaming. Blood splatters all over Deku. As Deku just sitting there, he, for the first time seeing someone die, lifts up his mask, goes over to a trash can, and throws up. Because that is his first time seeing someone die. But he felt so much love and enjoyed the moment of seeing someone else in pain. So Deku leaves and he goes home, avoiding his mother and his brother so they will not see his blood-stained clothes. As he takes off the clothes and he hides them under his bed, hiding them from the world. As later on the news it will show a man had to be stabbed, but then his whole body, some body parts of his burned, and things like that. And they say that it was basically acid that happened, like acid burnt through his body. So they say watch out for the villain with the acid quirk, not knowing that it's basically just a kid. So Deku will go upon years killing people with the same method. Well, switching it up, really. And heroes, people all around, basically Deku City is looking for this serial killer with the acid quirk. Deku felt so much accomplished doing this. But one thing that Deku did not expect to happen was that day he found out he could use electricity from his body. As black electricity shot forth from his body, and he'd electrocuted someone as the man dropped down, dead. The next time, fire shot from his body. Black fire, and he's burnt someone dead. Next was wind, then earth, then water. All of these being black, Deku not knowing why. Wondering why all was black instead of normal colors. Then the next thing to turn black was Deku's hair. Wondering why his hair turned black. Then his eyes, which normally glue with green in them, which people found weird because Deku was quirkless. Deku's eyes no longer glue green. They're now pitch black. The darkest black you can ever find. So dark, in fact, the void of space does not compare. As this does creep people out a lot. As they never stare Deku in his eyes. Because all they see is white at first. And then they see black. Over the years, Deku distanced himself from his family. Distanced himself from the people at school. Bakugo and Deku's brother, Izuko. I don't know. Just think of something like a name for it. Zuko's brother. Hanzo. That sounds a good name. Hanzo. Instead of Asashi. Hanzo. Bakugo and Hanzo used to beat Deku. But they seen in later years that Deku would not scream in pain. He would not cry. Nothing. He showed no reaction. So, Deku would just leave one day, leave the house at night, and go missing for a couple of days, and then suddenly just reappear again. Inko getting mad and asking Deku where he went. Deku says he went nowhere. Seeing as Deku don't care, that Inko doesn't care about him anyway. As Inko that day beat Deku, and Deku grew more hatred towards her. So he just smiled, knowing what he really did. As later on, Inko receives news that her husband, her dearest husband, had died. Inko cried that day. So did Hanzo. It was reported that Hasashi had been killed. Murdered, in fact. By fire. A fire quirk had killed him. So, next to go was Masaru. Masaru, Bakugo's father, was also killed. And I see in Masaru's case, he died just like Deku's dad. But just like Deku's dad, he had all these wounds on him. Scratches, cuts, punch marks, slap marks, missing teeth, missing fingernails, toenails. His eye was gouged out. All of these things happened to Deku's father and Masaru. Still wondering what's going on. As Deku leaves the CD, and on this CD he has a note. Meet with Mitsuki if you want the full truth. Bring Bakugo and bring Hanzo. As this is the day, Deku packed his bags and he left. As a 10-year-old Deku left. Deku then made his way to this abandoned building that no one knows about but him. As he goes inside, he presses a few things on the wall. As then it glue, and then suddenly the wall changed to show a building, a full-fledged building, instead of this broken down house that it used to be. As then Deku said one simple word, disappear, as the building just went invisible. People not knowing about this building, and no one ever will. Now, a day later, Inko will go inside Deku's room, waking him up for school. Not really caring about him anyway, but she still had to wake him up. Or she would go to jail for not having both her kids go to school. Inko would go inside the room, Deku's room, to see that it is empty. There's no things like Deku used to have in there, like beakers for his experiments. No, Deku's basically creations that he used to make, like toys, they're all gone. It used to look like toys, but they were actually deadly. They just Deku had in disguise as toys. Everything was gone. Inko was wondering where did Brat go? Then she sees on his desk a CD case with a note attached. As it states, if you want to know the full truth, go to Mitsuki's house. Use her DVD player. Bring Bakugo Katsuki along with Hanzo Midoriya with you. So Inko listens, wondering what is happening, so she does. So they get over to Inko's house, Hanzo and Inko. Mitsuki's house, Hanzo and Inko. Inko tells Mitsuki all about this, so they sit down and they watch the tape. So first is the video explaining, oh, hello there. I see that you found the tape. Well, isn't it nice? Isn't it, Mom? Well, since you guys really want to know that badly, I shall tell you. Yes, I am your darling son, as you may say. But I am no longer your son. In this video, you will see some things that, well, if you have a weak stomach, you will not be able to tolerate. But before that, let me give you some information. I hate you, all of you. Every single last one of you. If I really did not care that much, I would have just killed you way before when I actually would. But I don't want to kill you at all. I want to see all the torture that I give you, all the torments. I want to see you cry. I want to see you break. As Deku says, I have the perfect methods. Maybe I can use electricity. As he puts his hand up, they see black electricity come off. He says fire. They see fire come off. Black fire. Water. Black water comes out. Rocks. They black. Basically. And wind. It's black. It actually has a color. It's black. Black wind. And they don't know why. They just thought that Deku was quirkless. Deku says, well, I would have never got this power, as you can say, if it wasn't for that day that I tripped and one of my experiments broke inside of my pocket, stabbing me with glass, giving me the power of all the elements, but in a dark form. As this power is not a kind of good power. Fire able to negate the hottest thing. It can incinerate anything. Wind strong enough to go against a hurricane. Water so deadly that it melted ice just by being next to it, not even coming in contact. If you put it in regular water, fish would immediately turn to skeletons. Earth so powerful, it shattered titanium. Electricity so electric or strong, even if lightning strikes me, my electricity will still be stronger. As Deku says, well, I guess now it's time to show the videos. Well, sit back and watch and enjoy the show. As Deku smiled and then disappeared. As then it shows the first clip. As they see, Deku says, basically has a camera, he has gloves on, and basically a surgical mask. As he turns the camera back at him and says, well, look at here. We found something interesting. I am currently here in America. What am I doing here? Well, of course, to kill my darling father. As Inko and everyone that was watching the video was shocked at what Deku just said. Deku says, I have found him and I have currently captured him and he's currently inside this room as he shows the room. And Deku says, I'm going to kill him. Before I do that, I'm going to torture him. Well, let's just go have some fun. As they see, Hisashi basically tied down with his mouth. Basically, Hisashi don't have nothing in his mouth so he can speak. But he's tied down. As Hisashi sees Deku, he's wondering what's going on. He keeps saying what's going on, what is happening, basically being confused. Deku says, shh. Well, viewers, what do you think will happen now? Will I A, just talk to him for a little bit until he gets the point? B, torture him until he gets the point? C, call the cops for something that just happened? Or D, call heroes? Well, if you chose A, you're wrong. B, you're right. C, you're wrong. D, you're wrong. I'm going to torture him until he gets the point. As Deku pulls out a little knife, as he starts to cut Hisashi, as Hisashi starts to scream. As he keeps going, he's torturing him by all these different ways, pouring acid on him, basically burning him, electrifying him, throwing rocks at him, drowning him a little bit. As they're seeing this, they throw up a little bit. And they start to cry. Inko and, Hanzo are crying because they're seeing, basically, Inko seeing her husband. And Hanzo is seeing his father, basically being tortured. They didn't see Deku gouge out one of his eyes, cut his tongue. And then after all that was done, Deku killed him. And he says, well, all the fun is over. Now, I'll just leave the body here. Well, actually, no. That would be bad. As he cuts off all the restraints and he brings the body, he places it in the alleyway. He says, I'll just leave it here. When the police find it, they won't put it back to me. So I have to get back to my house. Well, those two won't matter anyway. See, that's my mother and my brother are there. They probably won't even care. They just ask me where I've been, my mother getting mad, and I'm just sent to my room. As he smiles and says, but she'll never know anything. Well, by now, I have to end this video. As it ends with just Deku's face, with his black eyes, his black hair, and electricity coming off his hands and his face. But from what they've been seeing, Deku never had black eyes or black hair. They're not noticing that Deku used hair dye and he used colored contacts. but when he's in public, he don't use that. So the next video plays, and it shows Deku again in some place. He says, "I'm still here in Japan as I've caught someone very important to someone I know." As he goes to a room, it shows basically Masaru. As Deku says, "Oh, how have you been, Uncle Masaru?" As Bakugo and Mitsuki are shocked. As Deku says, "I'm going to do the same treatment that I did to my father to you." As Deku just started to torture Masaru. Exactly how he tortured, Hisashi. As Masaru's screams could be heard by only Deku. As they all, from that point, were so sad and so mad. Seeing the people that they love being tortured by Izuku. So after the video was over, Deku kills Masaru. He puts his body in an alleyway. As he leaves, and the video ends. Then it got the end of the video. Basically saying goodbye. As it shows Deku in this all white room. They see experiments behind him on different chemicals, different things that he created. As Deku starts to talk. Well, I guess the video's over after all. Isn't it? Inko and Mitsuki. And also my little twin brother and Bakugo. How did you enjoy the video? Well, he won't say Bakugo, he'll say Kachan. Because he did have that, kind of like respect for Bakugo. But then, he came to hate him in later years. No, he says, "Isn't it, Kachan? Did you enjoy the video of your father?" Well, I won't be able to get an answer anyway. Well, I will, but it wouldn't really matter anyway. So, I'll see you all later. Goodbye. As the video ends, and they just sitting there crying as they didn't move for a long time. As this when the police came to the door, knocking and stuff like that, as they thought something was wrong because no one answered the door, so they just bust in to see all of the 4 people there just crying. Inko, Hanzo, Mitsuki, and Bakugo. You know what? I'm not gonna call Hanzo anymore. I'm just gonna call him Hisashi. He's basically a junior. Yes, he's a junior. He was given Hisashi's name, so just call him Hanzo. Not Hanzo, Hisashi. Dang, gotta keep my charger on. Not comfortable. All right, let's keep going. The police asked what's happening. Was everyone sitting here crying for it? Did they not hear them knocking on the door? And they just sitting there just crying still. As the police wondering what, as they see the note from the CD case that they got in front of them. So they wondering what they was playing. So they replayed the video a little bit. As the police see this, and they say this is evidence against both of Hisashi's death and Masaru's death. So they take it in. And they consult the family and stuff like that. And they ask, do they know Izuku? As they explain, yes. Inko saying that was her son. Hisashi saying that was his brother. Bakugo saying that basically it was like a kind of cousin to him and stuff like that. Just saying that. Well, not really caring anyway. They act like they care, but they don't. They hate Deku now. So they bring in all the evidence and they show it to the judge and things like that. And it's put on paper. Izuku Midoriya wanted for killing 2 people. Basically he has a bounty. So it's said to only be kept alive, not killed. And it's basically a warrant for his arrest. So over the years, now Deku is now 13. Deku will continue to kill people, innocent people, not caring anymore, and things like that. But then he fell into a trap. No matter how smart he was, he fell into that trap. And he got caught by the police. Taken it to a judge, they give him the death penalty. Well, not the death penalty. They put him into Tartarus, as you could say. Being one of the younger members to actually go into Tartarus at the young age of 14. Not as young as my What If Deku was the reincarnation. One of my most, deadliest Dekus. Well, all my Dekus deadly. They just don't use that power in their deadly faction. So Deku's put into Tartarus. And it's on his, cell door to never try anything with this kid because he's deadly. If he, not even using his quirk, he can kill a lot of people with his martial arts skills or fighting skills alone. Now, they don't even know that Deku's quirk is not a quirk. It's just the evolution of a quirk. Meaning, these quirk canceling handcuffs and quirk canceling collar and stuff like that will not work against Deku. So it will not work, so they don't know. They don't know yet. But Deku's gonna play along as if they do work, and then when it's time for his escape, he's actually gonna, basically make his power known. So it's put all over the news that a 13-year-old boy was placed into prison. As they show his picture, his Midoriya, they show his black hair, his black eyes that look so creepy, and a smile on his face. As the League of Villains are seeing this. But they're scared of Deku. Why? Well, because one reason. All For One tried to take Izuku's quirk before, but he saw that he couldn't. And with trying to take Izuku's quirk, well, it really pissed Deku off. As Deku proceeded to nearly kill All For One. All For One escaped that day, and he told all of his people, he told Shigaraki, never to cross this kid, as he cannot take his quirk, and his quirk is so powerful. It nearly killed him, and he's just deadly on his own. All Might sees him, and he starts thinking back, why do I feel like I know that kid? And then he gets a memory of that kid saying, can I become a hero without a quirk? It's All Might. He feels horrible because he remembers he didn't even have a quirk, but yet he was given a chance by One For All. Off when I meant. No, One For All. Yeah, One For All. I was like, I don't know what's wrong with me. So, All Might feels horrible. Then more other people feeling this. The whole world is basically known as now. So one day Deku gets a meeting. He meets Inko. As Inko was told that she has to meet with Deku and start talking with him or something like that. As they had the meeting like people do when they're in prison, they go to this place. But in Tartarus, basically, instead of having like all the meeting, like all the phone places that you can use to basically talk to someone else on the other side of the wall, bulletproof glass, they have individual places like you go through a door and then you talk to that one person that's in front of you, no one else is outside of you, and the guard is still watching you. So Inko basically sits down as Deku sits down, and basically they start talking. Inko start like explaining like, why did this happen to you? Why did you become like this? And things like that. Well, she really is genuine, asking this question. And Deku just gains a smile and he says, well, I didn't want to become this. You can say I was forced into this role. Let's just say if I did not become this, I wouldn't still be alive today. Do you not know the torment that you put me through? The hatred that I felt for you. You and the rest of the family. You really don't know. If you'd all just treated me like normal human beings would, I would not be like this. I would not be a villain. Your husband would still be alive. And so would Miski's. And so would those other innocent people. As Deku goes on, continues to go on, basically saying that he does not love Ingo. He never will, and he never did. He would not love his idiot brother. He never will, he never did. Hisashi, his father, he would not love him. No, like I said, Hisashi and basically his brother had the same name, but no, Deku's brother is just a junior. So I'm gonna refer to, if you hear me say Hisashi, basically I'm either referring to the father. But if you hear me say Deku's brother, I'm referring to Deku's brother. So Deku then continues to say that the prison is not the thing that's keeping me away from you and the rest of the world. It's me that's keeping me away from you and the rest of the world. If I really wanted to, I would escape right now. I would escape and I would cause mayhem. But at this very moment, I have no reason to escape. As then you go, well, not really. Well, she's crying right now, hearing all of this, because he hears that it is her fault, that basically her husband has died in Miski's. And then 3 other visitors came. It was Miski. She basically starts screaming at Deku, basically why he killed her husband and things like that. And Deku at first had a blank face, and then Miski saw Deku's blank face turn into a smile while she was crying. As Deku tells her, I wanted to hurt the person that I hated the most. As Miski said, what? I wanted to hurt your son. You see, I should have just killed you too, but I didn't. Want to know what it is? I wanted Bakugo to feel the utmost pain that he could. Watching a video of his father dying, I wanted to see his reaction. I wanted to fill me with such joy. You don't even know, or you probably do anyway. After all, you are Inko's friend. If your son was not one of the people that had bullied me in school, basically tortured me mentally and physically, your husband would still be alive. And your family would have been happy, just the way it was. But then your son had to go ahead and do all the things he did to me. Well, sadly to say, we all see the result that came out of this story. As Deku just waited for Michi to leave as she left, crying her eyes out. As Bakugo went in, and so did Hunt, Deku's brother. They went in together. They started berating Deku like he's a nerd, stuff like that. Nothing but a villain. As Deku smiled and says, I know I'm a villain. I chose this path. But what will you do? After all, you're villains too. As they say, no, they're not. They're going to become heroes, as Deku tells them. Heroes don't bully the weak. They don't mentally torture their own kin. They don't torture people at all. But here you are, the people that mentally tortured me, physically tortured me, beat me every day. Yet you are calling me the villain? I don't see your point. After all, I don't care what happens to you. Neither do I care what happens to this rotten world. as Deku says, you know what? I have an idea. You're going to be getting to UA in the next, basically months. We're going to be going to UA because Deku was 14 now. And UA starts in 1 month. Actually, starting in a couple of weeks. As Deku says, I'm going to make it hard for you. As Deku says, I finally found that motivation. That motivation why I should leave this place. As Deku, from getting this motivation to leave and make his life for Bakugo and basically his brother harder, he gains a couple of new powers. Like I said, Deku was injected with a chemical that basically evolved his quirk gene. Which Deku has every power, he just has to get them. It's basically like what if Deku had every quirk. But Deku, he slowly gains quirk over time. And this is going to make him to the ultimate villain. Better than Off One, since his quirk can be stolen. And it's not really even a quirk, it's evolution. The next step for the human population. But it's really not for the human population because the chemical Deku used cannot be, basically remade. And even if they remake it, they're not going to have the same reaction to it like Deku had. Most will die and things like that. Deku's body was just special for some reason. As Deku gains a couple new abilities. He gains flight. He attains flight. Basically, he gets flight, he gains super strength, durability, and super speed. All at that very moment. Deku gets the knowledge of how to use all of them. Right there and then. As Deku stand up, his eyes glow with electricity running through him. As he says, from now on, from this day forward, I will make your life harder, little bro. And Kachan, as he just broke out of his handcuffs, the officer seen this and he says, what the? As Deku just jumping through the roof, and he just flew off. And as the alarm goes off, and it says, containment breach, prisoner 0 has escaped, as the whole prison goes to a lockdown, basically. All the prisoners are sent back to their cells and basically in holding. And it's put on the news later on that day that a dangerous criminal has basically escaped Tartarus, a place that no one can actually escape. Not even All Might. He stated himself that he can never escape Tartarus. So basically, for this kid to escape means that he's more dangerous than All Might. So, a couple of weeks pass by. Now it's time for the UA. Now, they do the entrance exam. Not going to go into it, but the entrance exam happens. And let's just say Bakugo gets first place like he does in canon. And Deku's brother, Hizashi, he gets second place and things like that. First day of UA goes like it did in just regular anime. But just switch out Izuku with Hizashi, but he don't have one for all. He has basically pyrokinesis. Now the person who has one for all is actually going to be Mirio. So Mirio had to learn how to reuse his quirk so he will not die. So he learned how to reuse his quirk, then he started to learn how to use one for all. And since his body is, basically better built than Deku's, and I'm not going to tell you what happens in the later story in the manga, because I read it. It basically tells why Deku was so special. I don't know why I don't think it says that, but it just states that Deku was special in some way. I'm not going to spoil it unless you guys want to read the manga. But let's just say Mirio is not as special as Deku is. So one fall is slowly destroying his body. But when I say slowly, I mean slow. Like the time Mirio is 100, that's when he will feel the full effect of one fall destroying his body. So let's get into the story again. Now it's the USJ. That's why I want to bring Deku back in. It's USJ. All the villains get out, basically, and it's all happening. But since Deku was not there, not Tsuyu, Mineta dies. Tsuyu gets very injured, and a couple of the students die, leaving only a couple alive. I don't know how much. Let me find. Let me just heart this. Alright. I'm gonna mark all the students that live. I'm gonna say their names. Ida lives because he left. Tokiyami lives. Todoroki lives. Bakugo lives. Kirishima lives. And so does Mina. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So out of all of UA, only 7, including Toru Hakagure. So Bakugo, Toru, Todoroki, Tokiyami, Kirishima, and Ida, and I'm gonna say, also Mina lives too. The reason Mina lives too is because of her basically acid quirk. People can't get too close to her or they start to burn, so she lives too. So this when Deku comes in, basically killing the Nomu because he hates anything to do with All For One because he tried to steal his quirk at one time. So he kills the Nomu instantly. He sees Shigaraki. Shigaraki says, "Who is this brat?" As he tries to disintegrate Deku, Deku grabs him by his wrist, and then he just snaps his arm, kicks him in the side, breaking his spine a little bit, and then he, basically knees him in the jaw, kicks him back. Kirigiri sees that they're not winning this battle, so he just teleports them out of there. Deku proceeds to kill all the rest of the villains. Now, Aizawa's alive, but basically he's beaten too. Let me just go. So, after all this done, Deku does leave and he actually goes to his brother. As he says, "Well now, how was it to watch a whole lot of your friends die? But let me just play that event over and over in your head." As Deku gains the power to basically not rewind time, basically to make a loop, and it's in a loop inside of Deku's brother's mind, in which he will watch the event of his friends dying over and over again. As this slowly but surely drives his brother insane, as Deku stops it before he goes mentally insane, but this does make his brother break down a little bit. As Deku says, "I will be back to torture you some more one day, brother." As Deku just goes, he leaves. As he used the teleportation ability, which he gained over the week. UA gets that bad rep because so many of UA students died, leaving only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Leaving only 8 students alive throughout their thing. I should have counted this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Throughout their 20 students, only 8 lived. So all the students all the parents of the students that did not survive are basically angry at UA because their basically kids died. And UA gets a very bad rep, worse than what it got in canon. As the family sue UA because their kids died. Who wouldn't do that? If I had a son and he went to school that he died at school, and the school could have prevented his death. I'm going to sue them. Not only am I going to sue them, I'm going to try the best of my power to make the lives of the people that was there way worse than what it was. You see, I'm the type of person that plots a lot. And I love to see the pain in people's eyes. So, let's get back to the story. So, all of this is happening. Deku gets back and it's put on the news, like I said. So, UA gets a lot of time off, actually. The sports festival is canceled. A lot of school events is canceled because all this happened. Students that was actually supposed to be placed to 1A because classroom B students supposed to be placed in 1A, they don't go to UA because they think it's a cursed class now, as they just drop out of school and stuff like that. UA essentially only has a couple of students left. Now UA is wondering how did things go from being perfect to being way worse than what they think it would have been. This when their intercoms, TVs, computers, everything is hacked. And they just see a symbol. A face with devil horns on it. As then it just shows a kid, basically, with black hair, black eyes. As they notice kid, as Deku goes on to say, "Hello, people of UA. How have you been? I've seen that you all have had such a harsh time, with most of your students dying and all from class 1A. But cheer up. After all, not enough didn't die. If it was up to me, I would kill your whole school. Well, I could do that right now, but I'm not. Yet," as he says. Well, let's get on to some more interesting facts. I enjoyed watching your students die over and over again. As he says, he played it in his mind over and over, and every time it fills him with such delight. As Deku continues to say, well, mostly their deaths wasn't even my fault anyway. None of them. It was all because of the League of Villains. The only reason I'm giving you this information is because I hate the League of Villains. And that bastard All For One. Oh yeah, All Might. Did you not know? All For One is still alive. As All Might did not know this, so he was shocked to hear it. As Deku continues to spit out a little bit more information to them. So, basically, he then gets out the intercoms, and then they just start to hear explosions. Like, boom, 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 and stuff like that. They're wondering what's going on, and then basically a student runs to their room, and it says that there have been multiple explosions in different classrooms, ranging from basically the lower classmen to basically seniors. And they're wondering what's happening, so they start running out the building, and they see it. Classrooms exploded with kids in them. And this is all Deku's plan. To watch as UA slowly crumbles and falls. As what he did. Oh, you're wondering what he did. He planted explosions in each classroom, killing a lot of students, but leaving some alive. As UA gets a worse rep than what it actually had in canon. UA is on its last legs, with only having up to 100 students after everything was over. 100 or less students. When they originally had most students of any, well, not really the most, but some of the most precious students of any other school, up to like 1,000 or more. But now they're down to a measly 100 or so. Roughly about 190 or bottom of that. as parents slowly but surely start to pull their kids from UA, as UA is getting destroyed. So, while this was happening, Deku says, you know what, he's getting sick and tired of All For One. So he starts thinking about what he could do. He's wondering how he can find him. And Deku just gets the ability to basically sense out where people are. Basically like a sonar. So he finds All For One. Sees where he's at. He teleports to where All For One is. Puts down the camera. So All For One don't even know he's there yet. He puts down the camera. He starts recording. Actually, this is live, not recording. As Deku hacks every news broadcast, basically. Every channel, every TV, everything. He hacks everything all over the world. Including inside the bar. As they just see Deku place this up. And then Deku goes. And then he just grabs All For One. All For One is shocked. As Deku slams All For One to the ground and starts to beat him. And then he kills him by ripping off his head and then disintegrating it. And destroying the rest of his body. As Deku says, well, if you guys were wondering what you just saw, he then says that he just killed the number one villain in the whole world. All For One. The man that has the ability to steal quirks. This was All Might's eternal rival. A man that he was made to kill, basically. To defeat, but he did not. That's how weak All Might is. As Deku ends the live, he finds Shigaraki. He basically sets the building on fire. And he puts an anti-quirk barrier around the building so no one can use that quirk, not even Kirigiri. So everyone inside that building burns to death. This includes Toga, yes, Toga, Mr. Compress, Twice, and Dabi. Because they actually joined, no, everyone else is also there too. They joined the League of Villains way earlier. As then Deku just goes and kills more villains and innocent people by setting buildings on fire with anti-quirk usage around them. So they cannot use their quirks, so they just die by being burnt. And one place he finds is this Yakuza base. He finds this little girl by the name of Eri. And he sees that Eri has a tough life like he had. So he takes in Eri, in which Eri is scared of Deku. As Deku tells Eri that if she wants to survive in this world, she needs to get over this basically sad attitude and stuff like that. In which Deku slowly but surely molds Eri. He molds her to be the perfect, well, a villain, of course. As Eri becomes a villain, as Deku teaches her how to use her power, and Eri is thankful. So she sees Deku as a father, and Deku sees Eri as a daughter. So Deku gives Eri the same injection he did to himself, but he modifies it so that Eri won't feel pain, her body won't basically die from basically taking on this chemical. So Eri unlocks the same evolution like Deku did, but since she already had a quirk and it evolved, she basically lost a quirk. In which she was a little bit sad because Deku taught her how to use a quirk, but Deku just don't worry about it. You will start to get different powers, like I did. As the first thing that Eri gets is not time manipulation. No, that's too strong. She actually gets the ability, she gets Overhaul's ability. As that's the only thing that she could think about at the time. She does not have nightmares or Overhaul or anything like that. But she gets Overhaul's ability to basically dismember things and put them together. She also gets other abilities like electricity like Deku did. And a lot more things. And so the duo, the father and daughter duo of UA's world, starts to slowly but surely turn this world upside down. As this is what I'm going to lead us off, this is going to become a new series altogether. I'm going to call this the Villain Chronicles of What If Deku Was a Villain. I still need to make Blood Road. That's going to be like a spin-off series like this is. Just like a villain series that it is. and the world's going to become a wasteland and things like that. So thanks for watching. Peace out. See you guys in the next one.